I think it's starting now. So this is now being recorded, and do bear with me if I have to let other people in coming in as well at the same time. So I'm Sylvia. If you haven't met me before, there's some names on here that I don't recognise. I am working with the Level 3 Foundation, and I work with the Physical Arts School here in Mallorca. So it's quite nice for students that are physically in the studio also to work on with coming online too. You might see some of them as well, and it's quite nice equally for you guys maybe to have a conversation and chat to if you want to get to know a bit more about the art school over here too. My background is predominantly fine art, painting and drawing, and I work across disciplines. I've run several art and design courses at colleges in the UK and art schools in the UK, and I like to sort of have that cross-discipline element where drawing is the foundation of all of those things. And I'm going to share a PowerPoint with you just to give you some insight really into how it can be used, and we can sort of talk through it at the same time. If there's anything your side, if you see any problems whilst I'm presenting, do please let me know in chat, or unmute your microphone and shout out to me if you can't hear me or something, because obviously it's quite difficult when you're presenting. You don't always see how I can't see how you see it. Okay, so do let me know if there's any problems. So working across disciplines, when I talk about disciplines, I'm predominantly meaning, for example, fine art, painting, print, drawing, graphic design, fashion, photography, all of these things. Even when you're a photography student, you really do need to focus on producing a lot of drawings, because drawing is really the key sort of to putting what you have in your mind, in your thought process down onto paper. And there's many ways that we can look at drawing. So we could look at drawing in form of almost like doodling and making visual sort of notes, through to you know, really sort of detailed line drawings or diagrams or maps, all this kind of thing. And we can go right back to the very beginning of understanding of art history, where we look at cave paintings, where, you know, they were creating beautiful drawings in France and in Spain, actually, on cave walls, cave interiors. And, you know, we're going back such a long time ago. So drawing has always been sort of in our psyche, in our being, as a form of communication. And it's really that I'd like to see a lot of with your project work. And when I'm looking through project work, I think with some students really embrace it, those that go into illustration and so forth. But many, especially as the course is online, I see quite a lot of students sort of tentatively sort of working around the edges. Maybe some of you haven't picked up a pencil for a long time, or maybe it's you know, you're used to working digitally and things like that. So all of these things can actually have a kind of impact on you. I'm just going to let some more, I think there's some more people lurking in the background. Let me just try and let everybody in. Let's see, I think it disappeared now. Okay, so it's yeah, it's something that's really been in with us as humans for a very, very long time, and it's understanding how we can use it for our project work, really. And not being scared of using drawings, and not being scared of picking up that pencil, that pen, you maybe use an Apple pen to draw with. Maybe you explore different media and just draw on top of different layers of paper and things like that. I've done a few videos on that previously as well. So just working in your sketchbook, like I said, doodling, noting ideas and things like that, and just creating a whole body of work. So I'm going to start this presentation just to show you a few ideas. So I just want to make sure that you can all see it as well. So let's make sure that that comes up. There we go. Here we go. I think you can all see that. Can you see that? Yep. Okay, good. So drawing across disciplines, and this will be put up onto Teams as well, so you'll be able to see it through there too. So I just wanted to really highlight this phrase or the word drawing, where it comes from. The term design comes from the Italian disegno, meaning drawing, suggesting both the drawing of a line on paper and the creating of an idea. So when we talk about design, and I do talk about that a lot in project work too, creating design ideas, especially when you go on to the pathway stage. Some of you might already be on there too, where I talk about creating from the textures and layers brief, creating some design ideas from there. Now, what I have seen, I'm going to talk a little bit about that project actually, because I have seen with some students that they do get slightly stuck at that point, where they sort of revert back into their safety net, thinking, oh, what do I do? What you really need to do is look back at all your drawings or your photography work and create ideas from your previous research. And that's really what we look at. That's what's going to give you distinction grades too, when you are linking your theory to practice. So through drawing should really be the key at sort of making that connection from your research through to your ideas. And you should be looking back at your research. So this is something that some of you might get a little stuck on if you're working digitally, that you haven't got that sketchbook to flick through, but to actually look through your project work and to see where you can generate little ideas, little drawings. And something might come of it, something might not, but it might be something you think, oh, I'll pick up on that later on, and so forth. So I just wanted to just put together this. There are many scholarly articles on drawing which explore the haptic skills, that's a sort of hand making skills, through to the mind and eye and physical connection, along with the development of the creative input into the world of art and design. So how things are put in. And when you think about everything that is around you has been created and designed, and drawing really is often the key to that. And I'll show you some artists that work very much in that way in a minute. Some examples are the importance of drawing in the mechanical design process, and articles by David G. Allman and Stephen Wood, which focus on the mechanics of problem solving through drawing in architecture and design. There's Duncan Bullen's drawing explores the relationship between the hand, breath and surface. So you get some quite interesting articles as well that are about the sort of how we work consciously. If you're interested in psychology and things like that, that's really something you could look into. There's loads of little articles written about the sort of psychology behind drawing as well. Tatiana LeBlanc explores sketching as a thinking process, researching how students learn how sketching is a form of communication, a way of illustrating ideas and sharing thoughts. There are some great books to read as well, such as John Berger's Way of Seeing, which is quite a small little book. If you haven't got it, it's quite a nice book to get. It's quite, I think it's quite old. I think maybe in the 70s or 80s. I can't remember now exactly the exact date, but I would, it's a nice book to have and to read, because it opens your eyes up to how we see. And there's also Loughborough University do a journal on drawing as well, and visualization, and you can sign up to that if you're interested in drawing. And there's lots of artists and thinkers that write up about all that. So I just wanted to pick these particular artists just to show you as well. Very famous artists known for their drawing. Leonardo da Vinci. Of course, you would recognise this, the Vitruvian Man. And his drawings very much were focusing on understanding. So his drawings broke down the anatomy, broke down the science behind many things in art and design that we understand today. So looking at his drawings, you know, there's a curiosity there to try and understand things. And you can see here what he's identifying here is that the length of the arms as well, equal to the length of the body. So when the arms are spread out, so all this sort of mathematics between the measurements of the human form can be seen in his work. Albrecht Dürer, beautiful drawings, praying hands as well, really nice sort of tonal work there. If you want to understand how to work with tone, he's a really nice artist to look at for this, really beautiful illustrations, and working on a ground that's got a mid-tone ground, and then you're working with the lights of chalk and charcoal. And then we've got Rembrandt as well, who captures in self-portraiture, it captures that moment almost like we would in a photograph. But when we look at the date, you know, he's working within a period of 1630, this particular drawing. So he manages to capture this beautiful work, beautiful line work as well. So it's worth looking at these artists for their drawing skills. I'm going to throw straight into drawing. The title obviously is Drawing Across Disciplines. So I want to navigate around that a little bit. Drawing in architecture. Why is drawing important? It conveys the overall appearance, layout, spatial relationships of a building. Drawings such as floor plans, elevations, and 3D perspectives help to visualize the finished building before the construction begins. So here, Frank Lloyd Wright as well. If you don't know him and you're interested in architecture, you should definitely know this architect. We've got Falling Water on the right, a sketch to understand how it can be visualized, nice loose drawing work. And then here again, we've got this kind of mid-tone with light and dark, much like Dürer's work, where you've got the three tones working together to create the sense of form. And interesting viewpoints as well, where you're seeing you know, you've got the 2-point perspective really. So it's quite a nice challenge too for you to draw in that way, thinking about the viewpoint that you want to see the viewer to look at the work if you're interested in architecture, rather than just drawing something straight on. You know, here we've got two angles. You can see one side and the other side, 2-point perspective. So really consider which viewpoint would be good for the viewer to understand what it is you're trying to create. Here we've got some examples of plans, views and projections as well. So the view in the middle here, can I get my pointy thing to point here? I don't know how to do that yet. You know, you've got the aerial view, seeing from above. You've got the oblique view here, where you axonometric view too, where you looking at draw it, the one on the right looks as though it's at a slightly oddball angle. The perspective doesn't look right, but this is because if you are creating this to be made, the person that makes it has to understand what the measurements are. So it's drawn on these kind of angles, and you can get graph paper to print off for these views that you can underlay under layout paper, so that you can then draw it the correct angles. So on the right hand drawing, perspective is deliberately thrown out the window because it's not to be looked at as a realistic view, but as a projection of how it would look if you were going to make it, so that the person that can make it can get the measurements correct. And this is used in 3D design quite a lot, yeah. So that it's to help the people that are making it to be able to make it, yeah. Okay, I'm going to move through here. We've got the visuals as well by architects too that work through different interesting visuals here, where you can use marker pens. You can work digitally as well, like the bottom middle of that one. You could work on your iPad to create drawings and so forth. And again, we've got this 2-point perspective on the left hand side. And then here we have some lovely drawings too by Le Corbusier and James Wines too. Drawings that from architects trying to describe what their vision is. I've put these two together. One on the left is obviously very, very detailed. The one on the right is much looser. Both, you know, very good architects, very well known. So it's interesting to see the different approaches, how it can just be like a kind of doodle, understanding how the shapes are to be seen in the mind of the artist. And here we've got some other examples too. So some examples of other architects working in different ways. So there's no right or wrong really. So it's just interesting for you to see how architects respond to their idea of presenting their world in a very different way. Then moving through to illustration, I just wanted to give you some examples here of illustrations, some very quite traditional, well-known illustrators. Different approaches where we've got work that's been produced in print, such as the black and white Walter Crane. I mean, obviously these are all being produced into print, but we're working in different ways here. So, but drawing would be the fundamental key starting point to put those ideas onto paper. And here again, a lot of them, early drawings would then be transferred into lithographs or printing in order to get them reproduced. And that's quite a nice thing to fall back onto the traditional techniques of working, where you're looking like in this Rockwell Kent's Moby Dick drawing. The use of lines so that the ink would fall into the grooves. And cross-hatching can be used in this way to really build up the sense of tone and form. Drawing then going towards print as well. We have really unusual examples here of Marc Chagall, who's actually a painter, but who also illustrated books. The drawing, well, he illustrated the book drawing for the Bible. So a lot of his artworks then were put into print for illustration. So you can work across a sort of more painterly fine art response. And I put these in for that reason, that you can work in this way to produce ideas for illustration too. And again, Salvador Dali here, we've got Alice in Wonderland here that Salvador Dali created. It's very different, you know, he's obviously a surrealist artist, not somebody who is known for sort of book illustration particularly. But it's nice to understand, for you guys to understand how we can work across the disciplines. So somebody who is an illustrator might go back towards sort of more of a fine art response and then reduce it down to printing for an illustration. So that's why I wanted to show you these as well, so that you can understand how the disciplines are quite blurred really, or can be. So somebody who is a fine artist can also work with illustration. Somebody who's an architect can work quite painterly. And if we go back to these ones here, this first one, for example, is almost quite sort of animated, isn't it? The left-hand side. So it's good for you to see how these areas merge really. Okay, and then I'm going to talk to you about drawing for 3D as well. This is a very different type of drawing, tends to be. This is the work of Henry Moore, beautiful drawings and beautiful sculptures too. Really working and understanding the sense of a form on a 2D plane. So here you can very much see this with the drawing of the hands, where the lines go sort of around the form, and you've got that wonderful sense of light and dark, and the wonderful sense of tone created by the variation. Look at how that thumb's pressed into that right hand, and you've got that really dark tone underneath. Really beautiful exercise for you to do yourself if you want to develop your drawing skills, drawing your own hands. Hands are very difficult to draw. And if you're interested in the idea of working three-dimensionally, then this is a really good exercise to do too, to follow the form. The other two drawings are wax resist, so it's working with white oil pastel and then putting inks over the top. You can also use watercolors. You need quite a heavy weight paper though for that. And you can draw on top again with pen afterwards. But here we have, again, these are all in his studio. I used to collect loads of shells and bones and things like that. So a whole series of drawings that then would lead to his sculptural work. And again, if you don't know the artist, I'd really recommend you look them up so you understand how the drawings then transfer into sculptural pieces. But this sense of form is created on a 2D plane, and you see this time and time again with sculptors. Here's another example of Lynn Chadwick, who works very much on sort of planes, and you can again see that in her drawing. So we have these drawings. This is a drawing of a beast. I thought that would be a great project, actually, titled Beast. You could create all sorts of wonderful things. And here we've got, again, it looks like wax resist there, or maybe it's subtractive drawing, taking out with a razor. And it helps to understand the sense of form when making. Again, another sculptor, we've got Peter Randall Page, really works with this sense of form. And you can see this on the left-hand drawings. He often exhibits his work alongside drawings, alongside as well with sculptures. But the sense of forms created by that sort of the drawing of the form. So if you were to draw a sphere, for example, you draw the line curved around that ball. If you start to draw it flat, it flattens the image. So really following the line around. And you can see the sketchbooks on the top right full of really interesting drawings. And this is the kind of work that you could do for your project work. You could have a sketchbook where you're just creating loads and loads of drawings. And I kind of wanted to round it up with artists and designers that work across disciplines. So here we have the work of Sam Winston, who's a typographer. Interestingly, he's dyslexic and chose to work with typography, which has, you know, to sort of create a challenge for himself too, to produce work based on letters. This work really does work across disciplines in the sense that he works with typography, he works with drawing, he creates books, he creates sort of fine art pieces as well. So this piece, Drawing Breath, is almost like a fine art response, really, rather than a typographer or a graphic designer, where his lines are recording the length of every exhalation and the length of the line it takes to exhale. He did a similar drawing like this on births, and it was a very large drawing on births noted, and he drew like different circles on when somebody was born. Yeah, I haven't got an image of that, unfortunately, to show you. One to look up. But these books as well, you can see here, you know, there's a very much of a drawn element in his books. I've just got a few more people to admit. There you go. So you could transfer your drawings into book covers, into large scale drawings, doodles that you take into your sketchbook, you can make larger and so forth. So try and think about working across all these disciplines. And another design studio, Heatherwick Studios, do a very similar thing, where the drawings, this is a drawing of a vessel. There was, for example, in their studio, they screwed up a piece of paper and they drew that, and then that became a design for a building or something like that. So thinking about how your drawings, your doodles, your ideas, you're putting those ideas onto paper from whichever means. And this is a really nice image. This is from Heatherwick Studios. Just to show you, it's an interpretive process diagram for Heatherwick Studios, and it's just a little doodle, looks like a mind. We make closure that that's a mind. We've got the marks, we've got making, more making, and it's just a fun little image to show you. So I just wanted to sort of end on that. I'll see if I can I'll put this presentation up as well. I just wanted to really show all these different examples. I'm going to see if I can get my face back up here. I don't know whether I can or not. I just want to show all these different examples for you. I better not run over because I know that Tim's waiting for his presentation after this, so that you've got an idea of how you can create your own work. So drawing in a sketchbook, developing ideas, bringing them all together, not being afraid to doodle, and the doodle becomes a design for a building, or creating ideas for 3D forms and doing all these lovely little drawings in your sketchbooks to create the sense of form. But really use drawing as your tool, because it's really, really key at getting what's in your head down onto paper, and for us as the examiners and the assessors, for us to see what you're thinking, the thinking process. Okay, so if you have any questions, I can answer them after this chat, but I don't want to run over because I know that Tim's also doing a presentation. So do stay on to watch his one, but you can ask questions in the general chat afterwards, okay? Lovely to meet you all, and do message me, send me your drawings. I'm here as a tutor, so do send me work so that I can see what you're doing as well, okay? I hope that you found that useful, and I'm just the end of the Teams, okay? So do get in touch and show me some of your sketchbook work. Okay, bye.